Jamie, I've got your work up here. And, the first thing I had to do really is I had to take a look at last week's work because when I opened this, I was like, okay, something's different. And I opened up last week's work just to make myself familiar, refamiliarize myself, I should say. And I think that this market is superior, and good job listening to my suggestions. And I hope they make sense. Well, obviously they did because you followed suit. So a couple of things I think in this mark, though. Listen, I'm for the original colors. I really am. I think that there was much more contrast. We're pushing monochromatic here, and we're just losing a lot of contrast. Now, when this logo is seen outdoors on a brisk day that's kind of gray and snowy, there's just no contrast here to be able to, it won't be very visible. And remember, it's a Winter Olympic event, so climate is of the essence. A lot of your graphics will be seen outdoors in inclement weather. So that's something I think we really need to keep in mind in terms of contrast. I'm for the other colors, to be honest with you. A couple of things I would recommend is slipping your other colors back in there. Olympic rings, I think, are just a little too big. I would make those a little bit smaller. Okay? And 2022, again, I think that's too big. I would make that a little bit smaller as well. Okay? And I think that those are going to really, really help the general mechanics of the logo itself. So yeah, I mean, you did everything we talked about. I'm just not real sure what your reasoning was behind the color changes. Okay, so let's move on. And then the ticket, I think the tickets look great. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and say this as well, too. I want to see something here. I'm wondering if your type shouldn't be a different color other than black. Work with a couple of colors, and even work with your original colors. Let me know what you like the best, and just keep working that relationship. Try color in the year and the type, and then like I said, I'm back for the original colors on that. A little bit smaller on the rings, a little bit smaller on the year, and I think you're good to go. Tickets look phenomenal. Really, really nice job. That looks so good. One thing about this, well, let me zoom in here a little bit. One thing about this is I think that right there is just too wide. That should be narrowed down a little bit, and I think that will be just a tremendous, tremendous mark. I think the ski poles are probably a little too thin, too. Watch what happens when we back off the ski poles. See, they start to disappear. So they now become a very minor part at smaller sizes of the composition, which I think is a mistake. I think those should be a major part. I think those are a defining characteristic of that particular symbol. Okay. One suggestion is I would increase the size of your informational type because that's really important stuff, and that's wayfinding, and we don't want people getting lost, right? Back to this. Okay, if you're going to place things on shirts or anything with a texture, use a technique in Photoshop called displacement map, and you can research how to do that. That'll really make this thing look completely realistic, like it's actually printed on the shirt. I think these, again, we talked about this last week, and I think this is just too busy. I really do. Watch what happens when we back off a little bit and we see it at would be seen as a distance. You just can't make anything out. I mean, there's nothing here that's saying, hey, come look at me. Do you see what I'm saying? I think at this distance now, the triangles are really starting to overtake the composition, not in a negative way, I think, or I should say overpower the composition. So, even at a smaller size, the logo is no longer visible. Now we can see some of the images, but mainly what we see are these triangle and diamond shapes. So that's something that you want to reconsider. Don't forget now a poster, you want the poster to be visible from across the room, across the venue. So that if you're standing 50 feet from the poster, you're going to go, oh wow, that looks cool. I want to walk up and see that. So, okay, so that's the main thing that you want to keep in mind with a poster. And then as they walk up, you can give more details, but there should be a general hook from a distance. That's the same piece. And same thing with this. I think that this is really kind of basic. I'm not real sure if it's the best idea to use your logo as your background pattern. We've seen it done. Sometimes it works. A lot of times it doesn't because it gets to be too monotonous. I think as we can see right here. Okay, it's just such a prominent background pattern that it's not working. It's just too busy. So if you have time, I would like to see a different pattern, something other than, these diamonds based on the logo itself. Okay. Other than that, you're moving along beautifully, and I think you're doing a great job. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know, and I'll address those. Thank you.